All right, so this is about as difficult as it has been to be a Dolphins fan so far this season. Haven't beaten a team above 500, and that just got added to with the Chiefs loss on Sunday. Everybody was watching being the 9:30 game overseas, and very easy for people to criticize the Dolphins right now. And I'm definitely, part of that. I definitely have seen some flaws with this team that is worthy of pointing out. But there is not reason for all hope to be lost with this team. So this is the 5 reasons that we should still have hope for the remainder of the season for the Miami Dolphins. So first off, the team is continuing to get healthier. We've seen a lot of additions back to the team. We saw Xavier Howard come back, Javon Holland. On the offensive line, Teron Armstead, Connor Williams. We saw Jalen Ramsey make his first appearance a couple of weeks ago and has played a few games now. So we've seen a lot of players on this team that have missed some time start to come back. There was a large stretch of time where we were just down so many players, and we really saw that come to the forefront in that Eagles game where there was guys playing corner that I'd never heard of, like Nicholson or whatever his name is. I'd never heard of that guy in my entire life. We were just playing whoever was available on the roster, and this team continues to get healthier, and is going to continue with Devon Achane coming back next week. We still have Eric Azukama, River Craycraft, Isaiah Wynn, as well as a few other guys still on the injury list that are probably not going to be coming back next week, but there are guys to be had on the team currently that are going to be available to come back to this team very soon, as well as the guys who, like I said, have already come back and want to get more fully integrated back into this team. So number 2, we have a very favorable run of games over these next 5 games. We have the Raiders with their new head coach, and yes, they looked good on Sunday, albeit against a Giants team with Danny DeVito playing quarterback. We have the Jets twice, play in New York first, and then go up to Washington, D.C. to play the Commanders, a Monday night game against the Titans, and then at home against the Jets before a run of games of the Cowboys, the Ravens, the Bills. So those last 3 games are obviously very tough, and once we get there, the conversation is going to come back up. Can the Dolphins beat teams above 500? But until that point, we have a stretch of 5 games, very similar to like we did last year when Tua came back from his injury. We have a stretch of games where we can very easily go 5-0. If we drop the game in New York against the Jets with how they looked last night, is probably unlikely, but it could happen. There's been crazier things that happen to this Dolphins team in this league. But it's very realistic. 5 games in a row of very easy competition. Not a single one of those teams above 500, if I'm correct. Maybe the Commanders are, but I believe they're below 500 as well, until you get into that very rough stretch of games. Being at 6-3, if we win all 5 of those games, we are 11-3, and the Buffalo Bills have to play some difficult teams. They have to play the Chiefs, they have to play the Eagles. So while they're going through their rough stretch of games, we're getting an easy stretch of games. We're still at top of the division and can only further that lead if we go 5-0 in these next 5 games. Number 3, this is going to sound like a weird one to be a positive, but the questions are about the offense more now than it is on the defense. I think we've seen a lot of improvement on the defense over the last month of the season. We've seen Bradley Chubb have a massive impact on this team. We've seen Jalen Phillips come back from injury. Christian Wilkins and Zach Zeeler up the middle are incredible. And then on the outside, Xavier Howard, Javon Holland, Jalen Ramsey are starting to get that chemistry together as they finally have all played together as a squad. And now it's on the offense to pick things back up. The offense, we've seen a recipe in games that we win and games that we lose on what happens with the offense. We see that the offense becomes very one-dimensional. Try to force feed Tyreek Hill. The ground game can't really get going. In the games that we win, we've seen that we're able to distribute the ball all over the team. There's been times where we've had upwards of 12, 13, 14 different offensive pieces, not including Tua, that have touched the ball in the game. When we're able to get the ball in the hands of different playmakers, this offense works at its best. When the defense does not know where the ball is going, the offense is just really hard to stop. And if we're able to get the ball in the hands of, when eventually Eric Azukama comes back, he's such a playmaker. We now have seen guys like Cedric Wilson take up a bigger role, had that touchdown. Hopefully we can see Chase Claypool have some sort of impact after coming over. He had that big catch, not really big, but they had a catch against the Patriots, and he did a good job of hyping up the crowd and looked energized. And then obviously Achane coming back. Hope Savon Ahmed has some better days. Raheem Mostert still is playing pretty well for us. If we're able to distribute the ball better, get the ball into the hands of more guys, and leave defenses confused instead of knowing just to hone in on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, that's a really good recipe for this offense to get back in stride. Number 4, if you look at the rest of the division, nobody is really living up to par themselves. So it's easy to get down about how the team has been playing recently, especially, again, when you look at good teams. But then you look at the rest of the division, and the rest of the three teams all have serious question marks around them, starting with the Buffalo Bills. They are incredibly Josh Allen dependent. They tried to get that run game going earlier in the season, and it was working for a time. And we've seen now in recent weeks they really have abandoned the run. James Cook has not had much of an impact. They're bringing in Leonard Fournette. I don't think he's going to have too massive an impact, especially on a team that, again, doesn't really like to run the ball. It's just Josh Allen playing hero ball. There's not a lot of rhythm to their offense. It's Stephon Diggs now. They have Dalton Kincaid, the rookie tight end. He's just had a massive impact over the last couple games. They just funnel the ball into those two guys. Josh Allen run the ball occasionally. James Cook run the ball occasionally. But the offense doesn't really seem to have a vision of what it wants to do other than just let Josh Allen play hero ball. The offensive line has regressed and has been beat up. So they have serious question marks that really beat up on the defensive side of the ball. You go down the list, the Jets. We got to see how they looked yesterday on Monday Night Football. Zach Wilson is clearly not a starting quarterback in the NFL, and they have such good weapons around him. Offensive line is abysmal. Again, beat up through injuries. That's kind of common throughout the entire division, a beat up and bad offensive line. They have all the weapons in the world. They have one of the best defenses in the league. But until they have play from the quarterback position, they're no serious threat. And the Patriots are exactly what I expected the Patriots to be at the beginning of the season. I still think they're a bottom 5 team in this league. They can't produce anything on offense. Mac Jones, yes, he has excuses in front of him that they don't really have a good offensive personnel around him. The offensive line isn't good, but I've seen him miss multiple throws he should make. They had a 4th down where I believe he had Tyquan Thornton or Demario Douglas, one of the two of them, wide open, cutting over the middle of the field, and it just missed him entirely. No excuses for him on that play. He's continuing to regress. The Patriots are continuing to regress. All three teams in this division, outside obviously with the Dolphins obviously included, are showing signs of regression at the midway point of the season and have questions to be answered on both sides of the ball. So while we can definitely point the fingers at our own team saying what's going on, why are we looking like this? Why is the offense not playing good? Why don't we play good against teams above 500? There's a lot of questions to also be asked about the rest of the teams in the division. And finally, this depends on how old you are, but this is the best Miami Dolphins team in our lifetimes. We've only seen the Dolphins, I have only seen the Dolphins win the division one time in our lifetimes. I'd say there's a fairly good chance that we do win the division this year. I haven't seen us win a single playoff game ever. I'm 23 years old. Haven't seen us win a single playoff game. I think we won one in 2001, but, what was I doing watching football when I was 1 year old in 2001? That wasn't happening. This is a team that is setting so many records. Tyreek Hill, only the 4th receiver, first time in this millennium, getting to 1,000 yards by week 8. It would require a lot, but could potentially break Dan Marino's record. Tyreek Hill could break his own record, and I think certainly is going to break his own record from last year, as well as potentially could break the all-time receiving yards mark for wide receivers in a single season. There's so many things to like about this team. Devon Achane was second in the NFL in rushing yards when he went down, and is still I think in the top 20 or something like that. He's still an incredible running back. Going into last week, I think he was still in the top 10. I think he was either 10 or 11, just above Isaiah Pacheco of the Chiefs, who's played every single game. We have a young roster that, look, are we a Super Bowl team this year? I'd have to say probably not, but if you can get to the playoffs, you can win the Super Bowl. I think we're probably the 4th best team in the AFC. I'm looking at teams above us. Obviously, the Ravens, best team in football, and then you have the Bengals. Then you probably have the Jaguars, and then yes, we just lost to the Chiefs, but that game really could have gone either way. As of now, I put the Chiefs above us, so I'd say we're probably the 5th best team in the AFC as of today. But we are leading our division. We are set to play a home playoff game, which again, we only got to see that once in my lifetime. So while it's very difficult to go through this rough patch, we've been through darker days. We've been through the tank for 2 season, that beginning part where we were 0-8. We lived through crossing our fingers that Ryan Tannehill was the guy. We lived through that Jay Cutler year. We have had so many negative years as Dolphins fans where we've had to sit and watch mediocre football that I will take us being 6-3 and being disappointed. I'd rather be 6-3 and disappointed than 3-6 and optimistic, than 0-8 and optimistic. I got tired of being optimistic for the future. I want to be optimistic for now. Yeah, like I said, I don't think we're a Super Bowl team Right now, as of today, I'd say we're probably just outside that Super Bowl bubble. But again, you get there, you can win it. And then next year, I think there's clear things that we can improve on with this team if we don't win the Super Bowl. I think we can get a more formidable rushing attack, which could potentially happen this year with Devon Achane coming back. I think tight end has to be a massive improvement to at least have somebody who's a threat. I love Durham Smythe and the role that he provides, but if we can get somebody who is actual threat in the offense, even if it is, one of those replacement level guys, like Gerald Everett with the Chargers, who just, he'll get the job done. He's a big body, he's hard to tackle, and he just provides something different in the offense. There are clear ways to improve this team, but even the team that we have right now is an incredible team, is the best team that we've seen in my lifetime. And it's disappointing right now, the state of the Dolphins, but I'm very happy overall with where we're at. I'm happy that we're having this bye week right now. We can try to fix some things. We can try to get healthier and then roll into those stretch of games, potentially winning 5 games in a row before going through that rough stretch, kind of like a mini pre-playoffs, those last 3 games of the season. Let me know your thoughts on the team. Are you on the more pessimistic side or are you on the more optimistic side? I find myself swinging back and forth at times. Yesterday, I had a video about why things are really negative. Now today, why things are really positive. Probably not going to be doing a stream tomorrow as we usually do on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Donovan is unable to do it. It'd be just me by myself. So maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. We'll kind of have to wait to see how I feel tomorrow. But as of now, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. Again, let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the team. Are you positive? Are you negative? Or somewhere in the middle? Let me know whatever your thoughts on this team are down below. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.